Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How you doing, mate? Hey, man.
All right. How's tricks? How's things? I'm gonna
Things
try and
are
speak. I'm
fantastic.
gonna try and speak proper English for everyone.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I was saying before, but like when we're waiting to get started, how it's strange. I'm not sure if it'll come across. Maybe I'll do the whole camera thing. But when I speak to someone from the northeast of England, my voice or like how I talk, I do think changes. Like it's like
I think it.
when my dad comes to visit. It's like
Wait, it's the same. I've come from a teaching background, so I've got
mm,
used to like regulating my English so people
yeah.
can understand. But I've been back in Newcastle for the last good few years,
Mm.
and now I've just reverted back to the indigenous dialect.
That's class. I've been teaching my daughter recently that she needs to speak more slowly
So
because
you can understand it.
yeah, I mean, because she speaks obviously in German and really fast. But when I was younger, I used to speak very quickly. And it wasn't until I moved to Berlin that I realized I really had to slow down because I was speaking all the time with like non-native speaking, and it was too much. So we'll see how we'll be fine. We'll be fine, mate. We'll be fine. Should we do the standard intro and you tell us a bit about yourself before we get into the whole
Yeah,
the
my
nitty
pleasure.
gritty?
Well, first, I'd like to say thank you, everyone, for joining. It's strange for me being on the other side because I've been following yous lot for the last 2 or 3 years, and now I'm on the other side looking through the looking glass. It's a pleasure. But my background, I think it's pretty similar to yours because you didn't start traditionally in data
Hmm.
analytics, and I was
Yeah,
the same. My background, I started in teaching English as a foreign language.
cool.
Uh, but looking back, I didn't really like teaching. The only reason I took up teaching was because I
Mm.
wanted to learn Spanish, and so I was by teaching English, I was able to learn Spanish. But then I got into interpreting, translation, and my geeky pleasure was compiling trilingual dictionaries in Excel, and that was my journey into Power Query, and then that was like the gateway drug into Power BI, and so that's
That's
my
cool.
trajectory.
I like that very much. Well, but that's, I mean, it's always interesting about people's background and how they arrive where they are. Like mentioned before about being a flight attendant, all that kind of stuff. And people tell their stories. But one sec, I've never heard anyone mention or about compiling trilingual dictionaries in Excel. I have a multitude of questions. Um,
I don't know if it was sad or
I don't know where to start, to be honest, man. Um,
why. It's because when you're translating documents, when you get into the professional translation field, there are like translation software, and a lot. So you still have to manually. There's a bit of machine learning in or machine translation, but a
mm,
lot of it you still have to edit manually. Um, but what it does do is there's a normally like packages of dictionaries or glossaries
mm,
where it detects certain words and it offers you a suggestion. Oh, is
mm,
this translation that one? But then it's like I was just desperate for more vocabulary, so I would keep a list of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of words from English into Spanish, and
mm.
then Spanish into Catalan, and then that would be my way. I'd be like, because for a period I lived in Spain,
Yeah,
and I lived in the Barcelona region. So every day you're switching between Spanish 1 second, Catalan the other second,
that's
and
interesting.
so in order to compile these dictionaries, what I had to do was steal like PDFs, Word documents, and extract the data, and I would do it with Power Query. And then what I discovered is that actually my love for languages, it transposes into my love for coding languages, because it's kind of the same satisfaction. Being able to communicate in another language and connecting to someone gives you one type of
Mm,
satisfaction, but using code is kind of like using another language, like
yeah.
symbols and keywords, and that addiction made us go down a rabbit hole, and I've never got out of it since.
That's really interesting, I gotta say. Quick, this is a good point. You should compare notes with Bernard. True, actually, it's a good point. You guys
I've
should.
I've 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 dropped the odd tweet in Catalan to Bernard just to flex
Oh
a little
yeah,
bit, but I'm a bit rusty.
I love that. But the concept of learning like a spoken language and that leading you down just the path of computer languages. I read. a while ago. It's one of these things where you read it and then you can't cite the source because you just read it in some random paper or whatever, or some paper. Yeah, because I'm a boy. Uh, Website paper. I'm often reading the Telegraph on my way to the office.
Wait a second, let's pull out the papyrus.
Yeah, exactly. I was reading on the parchment. No, it was reading on some random website about the concept of starting to treat computer language as with the same level as spoken languages. Like in school, when you learn languages, the choice between French, German, I don't know, random JavaScript, I don't know. It's an interesting thing, but the fact that you kind of somehow lived that transition is quite interesting.
But what's also weird is that, like, some people have a knack for languages, some people don't. It's either you've got a gift or you can learn it, you can get better. But not everyone is disposed to learning all languages. Like, for example, when I was at school, I couldn't understand French, didn't learn French very well, and I felt like, oh, learning languages is not for me because of that. But then somewhere later down the line, a couple of decades later, it's like, oh, I'm learning Spanish and it's coming to us really easy in ways that French doesn't. So it's a weird thing, and it's the same type of thing with coding languages.
Yeah,
Excel comes really easy. Power Query in the beginning not so much, but DAX was like, oh, DAX is really easy, but it's not. No, it's really simple, but it's not easy.
there you go. I see what you did there. But I do. I mean, I'm the same with. I mean, for me with languages, I mean, I learned like most people do in the UK. Yeah, I learned French for like 6 years in school. Yeah, but when you learn French in school, it was like you do it for like 1 hour a week, and then you don't learn anything that's really. And my issue with learning languages in school was always it was very textbook. Like you learn what's in a pencil case or what can you I don't know what do you say to a teacher. It's not something that engages you as a person. And I've always said if I want to learn languages in school, it should be more. And I'll go back to something that we've discussed a few times in the show, the concept of a passion project. If you have a passion project, you're going to engage, you're going to learn. And it's for me, it's a similar thing with languages. I mean, I learned German by necessity because I'm here, but I didn't learn in a classroom, probably why my German's so bad. And it's the same when you're learning like something like Power Query or Power BI. To have a passion project just helps you learn. It helps you care. Sorry.
And yeah, no, really good message there is that when you're learning languages in a school or in a textbook, that's kind of a standard. And we're led to believe, or we're made to believe, that you have to reach that standard in order to be sort of deemed efficient, proficient. But as long as, just because you can't replicate what you see in a textbook or what you hear in the classroom, doesn't mean you're unable to communicate, because communication is a spectrum, and it's the same with anything else you do. You don't have to be perfect in order to communicate, and like we're having a conversation now. Our English is not perfect. Well, I'll speak for myself, but no, we're still able to communicate.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's like, I mean, when I speak to my dad, I often have to, occasionally, I should say, have to ask him words, because I don't speak English that often, or as often as I used to, or should do, put it that way. Or even when I do speak English, I very rarely speak English with an English native speaker, because of course my entire family, they're not from the UK, they're from here or somewhere else. It's just from Ben, that's about learning languages. You either go all in or better spend time doing something else. This is very true.
Yeah, you have to get immersed into it. You can't just dip in and out sporadically. You have to get fully involved.
And like, it's not all languages are created equal, not in regard to how good they are, but rather how much you care about them. Like I would absolutely rather spend my entire time learning Fantastic M than DAX. Yeah, because it's just, I find it less interesting. And it's the same. It's the same with languages, like from like spoken languages. But I'd much rather learn whatever. Let's say Italian than Spanish. Okay, my wife's Italian's biased, but you get me. It's just something that some things just click, or sometimes that looks interesting when I do that, and it just the way it goes.
Totally. Well, it's like M to me come really easy, but C# is like it blows my mind. And now if we end up talking about Deneb,
Yeah.
in death by 1,000 curly brackets in JSON. It's like I struggle, but
Yeah.
I want to really bad in my heart. It's like I want to learn this, I can learn this, but then I can't.
Yeah. This is actually just as well, just that to translate to Deneb. It's as you just answered the question, I suppose. But I see where you come from there. I mean, I think I say on pretty much every single one of my Deneb videos, and that's primarily all I do now. That I'm bad at typing and I hate it. And I really do feel like I picked the language that is most awkward to type when it comes to curly brackets, square brackets, especially on like a German keyboard. They're in a different place, and the harder I was I would literally wanted to get an extra keyboard where I could just press the button to make it happen or something. It's
Because where's your speech marks on a German keyboard? Is it not Shift and 2?
yeah,
Or
yeah.
is it the same? Oh no, it's the at sign that's somewhere else, isn't it?
The at you got to press the what is it? I'm going to try and type it here. I do so often. Yeah, the control and the Q is at
No way. Controlling.
control and Q, and to get the square brackets, I've got to do what is it? It's like control and 8 and stuff. This is like
Oh,
it's a nightmare, man.
it sounds people.
I love that we were talking about keyboard configuration. Oh man, just like you do. Oh man, love it. Yeah, but it's interesting to speak to someone from. I think must be the first person I've spoken who's from Newcastle since I've started doing these.
I think so.
Yeah.
think so. I've been following them, even like from. Has there been anyone from England even?
Yeah,
I'm
for
sure
sure.
it must have been. Yeah.
Yeah, because I spoke to Johnny, who's from
Johnny
the UK, and yeah, Chris Webb from the UK. There's a couple from the UK for sure, but no one from the Northeast. Johnny, actually, that's true. Johnny's from Newcastle originally. It's true. I forgot about that.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Nice one.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
coming home.
Coming home.
Coming home, Newcastle.
No. 1 second, Chris. Ben's German. No, I'm not. I live in Berlin, in Germany, mate. I'm from Newcastle, the northeast of England, but I moved to Berlin all that time back in 2006. So
But I think what's interesting for people here and note in our accents is that we're from the same city, but I would say we're from, but we're two spectrums of the accent sort of spectrum. So because I would say my accent's probably what would be considered a lot broader, and yours is a lot more refined, I would say.
I would say like it's broad Geordie. I would say you speak like broad Geordie. I'm not sure if that's considered offensive, but I was just about it's like, how dare you, sir?
No, it's what I aspire to. It's like, because I feel like I've lost me. I've kept my accent, but I've lost a lot of the dialectal words you used to use when you were younger. They just go.
Yeah. No, I mean, I consider my accent. I consider not particularly Geordie. It's more coasty, to be honest. Or how I would say usually. See, I said coasty. I'd usually say coasty. It's coasty, not coasty. Yeah, coasty. But yes. Study cakes and sorry, can I ask how old you are, mate?
Me, 40 this year.
Oh, me too. I just turned 40. Fantastic.
Can you tell by? Oh, you kind of see the grey hairs in me. Yeah.
No, I get that.
Getting crusty.
That means when you were in school, by any chance, did you watch Geordie Racer? Geordie Racer. You ever watch this at all?
No, I don't know if I did. It was more Grot Bags and He-Man and She-Ra.
It was Geordie Racer was on. Do you remember back in the day when you were in school? Every now and then they would bring out the TV and it was going to be the best lesson ever. And they all looked the same. It was like this big ass TV on that little plastic stand thing. They would wheel out and you're like, yes, yeah. And
you go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. There was a program called Geordie Racer, and it was about a kid, and he raced pigeons. And he was solving crimes or something as he raced the pigeons. And he used to, and I mention it now, it sounds really random, more random than I usually am, because Johnny mentioned study cakes and he loves study cakes. Every time you need to think about something and solve a problem, you would eat a study cake. A study is big bun for people who are listening don't know, by the way.
Yes, it's normally like a quarter of a bun, isn't it? The whole quarter. If you get like a pie like that, a study.
All right, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's the fourth quarter.
True, yeah. Oh, fantastic. Love it. should we try maybe a little bit touch on Power BI? We don't have to,
Yeah.
like, just to
No,
just
no,
for
please.
no, no. I mean, it's a fantastic stuff to talk about, and we'll definitely swing back to it later. But
But the time will fly too quick, so stop me in my tracks.
just so I can just check it off. Do you know what I mean?
We're being professional for a second. We're get in the mode.
Exactly.
Back to
Uh,
work.
so you went from your language Excel, and that led you down your path to Power BI, and this is what
Yes.
you're doing. So what is it that you're working on now? What do you do and stuff?
So I've recently just started a new position, a new job. So
Okay.
I'm in my third year of data analytics, and the last 2 years I was working on several projects, and I was the sole Power BI developer. So
Nice.
basically, I had the world at my feet. Everything that was data was coming through to me, and whether it was SharePoint,
Mm,
Excel, the Dataverse, Power Apps, um, and or the whole
cool.
Power Platform. And I must say, at this point, of all the Power Platform apps, I don't know if this will get me into trouble, but Power Automate, I don't understand that.
It's interesting.
I don't like Power Automate. I feel like I'm a renegade in this regard.
No, no, no. I mean,
Does my head in?
it's probably going to come back to the things that it just you understand and like the way they work, like back the language thing. That works for me. That doesn't. I like Power. What is it about that you don't like?
It's different. It doesn't. It's. I find it illogical, and the way the
Okay.
code and syntax. For example, I think it's like in Power Query, it's like table dot count rows or something. DAX it's count rows, and in Power Automate it's length.
Okay.
It's something odd like that. All of the things that we're used to, where there's a common ground in terms of like functions and syntax, most of the Office suite is sort of similar. Apart
Mm.
from Power Automate, it's like an alien, it's like a parasite.
Yeah,
That's
Parasite.
latched onto the Power Platform and just sucking the blood out.
I love it. That the one I understand the least is Power Apps. To be honest,
Oh yeah,
I would love to get more involved in Power Apps because people do amazing stuff with that. Um, Power Query and Power Query Fetch. I always say Power Query for Power Automate. I'm just obsessed with it. How I was speaking to like Israel McFarlane a few months ago, and we were talking about pretty much the entire time about Power Automate, and I kept saying Power Query. It's like, goddamn. Power Automate. I like it. I'm not particularly proficient at it. I think it fails too often.
yeah, big time. And if there's an error, it's like good luck trying to find it. It just says,
Yeah.
"Oh, your flow doesn't work,"
Mm,
and then like, "All right, I'll try and decipher that error message at the top." It's like, no,
yeah.
don't know where it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I did it a while ago. I did a video about using a Power Automate flow. That is annoying, by the way. Power Automate flow. It's a flow. It's that the whole
What is
renaming
it?
of micro. Yeah,
What
I
is
don't know.
power? It's a shapeshifter.
It's you have a Power Automate, and within Power Automate you have your flows, and it's very confusing. Um, and it was I had to run this flow to make my video, and I had to set up like an extra account because I was practicing it so many times I like ran out of the number I could use that day or something. It was really annoying. But it's I find it a decent tool. I underuse it. I forget that it exists.
It definitely has its place, and I know that it's doing amazing things now that you can query Power BI data set, and you can query
Mm,
with you can sort of run flows that generate CSVs based on your data set in the Power BI model. And obviously you can export
mm,
CSVs and
mm.
export tables. But then again, exporting a table in Power Automate, you have to create an empty table template and then populate rows with it. Something to that effect, in any ways.
Yeah, it's tough.
Do you know what I
It's
mean?
tough.
It's
Yeah, yeah.
not. You can't just generate like there's a file, there's a table. Or I think with CSV you can,
Mm.
but you insert rows, you can't edit rows, so you have to kind of have a
Ah,
blank
okay.
table and then populate that blank table with your content. But
I
that's why
get
I
it.
don't understand. It's one of those things I just don't. It doesn't compute.
I mean, I'll say something that is probably really biased because obviously I started with Power Query stroke Power BI. It was the
Mhm.
transition between the two is very quick. So I think Power Query and Power BI are very user friendly in many regards to get started. Where I don't
Very.
think that you have that in Power Automate, and you certainly don't have it in Power Apps.
Oh,
Um,
definitely not.
how about this though? The most under-mentioned, underused one. How about Power Pages? Does anyone in the chat, yourself, Imran, do you use Power Pages?
I'm gonna be honest and say I've only heard it in passing, and it's like, as like, is it real? Did I imagine that? Is it a real
Yeah,
thing?
yeah.
But
It
I
was
think
like
it is.
a yeah. I checked it out, and at first I was so enthusiastic about it. I was like, going to be really cool because you can like embed your reports like really easily and stuff. Um, Microsoft hates Greg. Yes. So that's yes. So Greg uses them. That's cool. Also, I'm not sure. I forgot what my question was. To be honest, did I say did he use them or do you like them? Have you heard of them?
But no. But so what does Power Pages do?
It's kind of like for me. I'm probably the wrong person to ask. For me, it was like it's like creating a website in which you can embed like you can create documentation and stuff with it, and you can. I think you have to be inside the organization to use it though. But that's the
Uh,
good question. Like, where does it fit within the power community or within the power set on the community, the power like setup, if you will? You know, like what?
I was going to say Jeff's question is the best. That's what I was going to say. Which of these tools correctly calculate totals in a
No.
matrix? If Power Pages doesn't give correct totals, it's not. Get it in the bin. It's not worth it.
Oh my god! This is This is gonna get so messy, man. It's gonna. Though I'm curious. Greg has a video which is gonna play in 2 weeks, or is it 2 weeks?
Oh,
And it
so
says I was wrong. Now I'm guessing he's not actually saying that he was wrong. I'm guessing there's some kind of thing going on there.
he's going
Um,
to double down.
but Power BI correctly configures the totals and matrix depending on how you look at it, right? Um, that video that they released about the SQL BI guys, 2 days is it now? At the SQL BI guys, they released a video about this, which was very informative. And no matter where you stand on this growingly divisive subject, it was helpful to make an argument in the situation. Listen to me trying to sit on the fence here. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's like when you're reading SQL BI and you're going through like the genius of their DAX. It's like you're not a participant in that conversation. You're a spectator. Like you can and like, and that's a compliment because like it's
Yeah.
so out there. It's so complex that you do need to like go in a cave for like a week, read it, and come back like a wizard, learn it.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. 1 second. This is a bit ironic. Greg says no comment. Really, mate? Now no comment.
Spill the beans. Come on.
After, yeah, come on, let us know. No comment. I'm not used to Greg saying no comment. Something like a meme or something, you know. Really making that comment hard, you know. No, I look forward to the video, see what it's saying. But yeah, it's interesting.
But
Anyway,
what we were saying, sorry, I was
yeah.
going to say, and so with Power BI, the journey I'm on now, I've went from learning DAX, learning Power Query, learning context transition finally, and filter context, and all of those amazing things. But now, and if Kratos is here, Jeff's here, and you're here, we're on a journey now where we need to improve the data visualization game in Power BI. And that's kind of where my heart's set now. I understand modeling, I understand all of that. And now the exciting thing about my new role is that I get to play with SQL. And I don't really know much about SQL. I know like the bare basics to get to have like views and stuff. But having access to a database with like insane amount of tables is just like, oh, everything you touch turns to gold. There's just so many possibilities.
What's it, Jeff? What's the bugs you most about Power BI? What is your pet peeve?
There's loads of annoying things. But the same, it comes from a place of love. We must put it out
Of
there
course.
first.
No.
It comes from a place of love. I think one of the things that annoys us the most, and it feels like should be a really, really simple thing, without having to do hacks is being able to control the data labels and just say, oh, I only want to show the last one. And even something that came later in the Power BI roadmap is the series labels. Now, the series labels are nice. So you've got your data labels, and then you add the data series. So it puts the label at the end of the chart. But in my mind, those data label series should match the color by default of the measure that they're labeling, and they don't. The default is gray. So not only do you have to define the color for your chart
Really?
or your yes. So if you've got a line, you've got multiple lines,
Right.
and you put series on, those series are gray. So you have to manually sort those colors out so that those colors match the line color. And I think that is one of my biggest pet peeves.
That is annoying.
Gets
That
on
is
my goat.
annoying. Yeah. What's that thing for that? You know, what really? Yeah, that's thing from Family Guy. Yeah.
It does me nothing.
Yeah, it does mean nothing. Yeah. But it for me, it just would work like a legend where the color just matches the line, as you say. Yeah, it's quite. Yeah, it's Daniel says it's somewhat of a missed opportunity. It's honestly, it's a functionality that I haven't used so actually maybe at all, to be honest. I've been busy with other things, but that does sound quite frustrating. So interesting though, because last week I was speaking to Mohammed from Power BI, and he was talking about all the visualization update stuff. He said in that live chat, because I said I wasn't sure what I'm allowed to talk about from what I've seen, and he said if he showed it to you, you can talk about everything, which is really good to know because now I can talk about everything.
Yes, reveal.
So that will come. Like so that's the adding the final point and stuff, and to make it really choose which point you want to see.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to come.
Because the small thing, these are small things, but they have massive impact. And I think Jeff's alluded to it, and Daniel, it's like these are opportunities to improve the user experience as well as tell the story, the data story in a better way. But yeah, no, sorry, I butted in. You carry on.
No, you didn't at all. Not at all. Yes, sorry. I said he. He is indeed Miguel Myers. I apologize for being very non-specific about who I was talking about there.
So is he gonna the thing that he's revealed to you, is that gonna become public knowledge eventually, or is it way down the roadmap?
So I was so what Miguel said was that they want to take it and like yeah, exactly. This is I'm gonna yeah, right, Jeff. I'll get that out, I promise, mate. What you saw was potential requirements, not a roadmap. It's very true, and I'm gonna move on to that in just 1 second. That they want to do it in stages, like first simplify and then improve stuff. Everything that Miguel showed us were unapproved ideas, things that he wants to do. But what I liked about it was the fact that he said, look, I'm a person who I spend a lot of my time building Power BI reports, so I understand the restrictions that I feel, the frustrations that you feel, all this type of stuff. Also, tying these two things together is that it's one thing seeing something, which is wonderful. I mean, on the design side, he's done truly an amazing job. I mean, I can't emphasize that enough. An amazing job. But the hard part is also implementation, right? So, as you said yourself, the idea for the series labeling, great idea, yeah. But then when that was implemented, it was implemented in a not particularly good way. That was not a particularly eloquent way of saying that. So it wasn't well implemented, and it's the same thing for things that I always bang on about, like the page navigation menu. Great idea, badly implemented. That sort of stuff. So it's all the great things to see, but we'll see.
I'll add a comment at this point because
Please do.
I used to be really militant and it got to the point where I was joining Jeff on the racks, where I would just go on Twitter and kick off about the things that we don't have. But I think something, what's his name? Ed. I know his website's Ed Analytics. I can't think of his surname now, but one of the MVPs, he said, because I said, "Oh, it's lackadaisical, the approach they take into visualization," and he said,
It,
"No, it's not lackadaisical. It's that there's so many interdependencies in the code and that goes behind building the Power BI product. Is that they fix one thing and they might break two other things."
yeah.
And one thing, going back to another pet peeve. This is very neat. That's it, Ed Hansby. Thank you, Johnny. One pet peeve, and I don't know if anyone's noticed this, and it's just a little niggle that it boils my blood. So do you know you've got the canvas, you've got the canvas of your Power BI report, and then you've got the wallpaper that sits above the canvas, so it's like a blank area. Now, in the past, say for example, you put KPIs on the very top, and you used to be able to click on the outside bit and use your lasso selection to highlight what was just on the border. Now you can't do it. That doesn't work anymore. And you only are able to click inside the report canvas itself. But if you drag outside of the report canvas, the selection doesn't work or it doesn't respond to your cursors. So you can't move things. Another one, add that to the bucket.
That is a strange one.
Aye.
Because I'm not sure. I always, give people the benefit of the doubt. So there must have been a reason for that, but probably there wasn't. It just something was changed and it triggered that. That is a really odd one because it was really helpful to lasso your visualizations. Really weird.
No.
I don't know the logic behind what happened there.
Yeah, no, and I even highlighted, saying, "Oh, look, it's broken," but it's like, "Oh, no one's got back to it." I should apologize to Jeff. No, not militant. I meant it in a positive way. Like, well, that's the wrong word. It was like we were stern. We know what we want and we know what to ask for. I have ideas in my mind every day, and I think, "Oh, I've not really got the courage to say that." And then Jeff puts it a post like he speaks for all of it. Mint.
Yeah, I think Jeff's pretty self-aware. He knows he's militant. It's all right. It's a difficult thing as well. I'm not really one for kind of speaking out too much or complaining. I think I'm not anyway. And when I do, and then someone responds, I have no filter. Yeah, exactly. Very true. But yeah, it's you can't really say that it doesn't get anything done, right? People being very outspoken. And a perfect example of that is this. If you go back quickly to the topic of the row totals in the Matrix with Microsoft hates Greg, at the very least, right? If nothing changes, whether you agree with him or not, okay, at the very least, it resulted in a really awesome video by SQL BI, which you can use for people who are just getting started with Power BI and DAX, and also for people who have a decent amount of experience with Power BI, but don't have great DAX knowledge. Yeah. So unless you're really just, mean and unpleasant and just nasty, obviously there's never any need for that. But if you really do bang on about something, it's still going to have some kind of impact. It'll make someone read. It'll educate someone. So I think at the end of the day, there's nothing particularly wrong with that, unless you're just being, a bit of a dick.
But this is when you come in and produce the goods, and lots of other people. I just was watching your video before, your Deneb video you put out about the dynamic titles. Amazing! It's just
cheers,
and the way you put the way you explain it in little pieces, it makes what is overwhelming can be overwhelming and maybe daunting. You make it digestible, and it's like this is what's making us develop. So, there's it's two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. Thank you, by the way. You stop.
No.
I think that's why just the conversation is important, no matter what it is. I mean, the amount of stuff that I've learned just from going through a thread that I might have already muted the thread, but I'm still just going through. Okay, I've never thought about that. There's a blog post. I'll read about that. I wish Venice, but yeah, this is funny. This is true, right? I've started posting on Twitter all the funny faces that I make because it's ridiculous the number of times I'm editing a video and I'll just pause it and I'm kind of going like, or something like, what is that face representing? What am I reacting to?
Someone replied, I think it was Andy, he said it's context transition.
I saw that. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's about accurate. Oh man, but no, it's all cool stuff.
But it's good because sorry, the last thing on that topic is that
Go for it.
the reason why it's so good though is because despite the things we love and the things that we would wish were better improved, it's all because we're passionate, whether this is like sad or geeky or good or not, but we're passionate about the product, we're passionate about the things we do with the product, and we're passionate about the effect it has on others if we're able to share and affect other people, improve other people. So I think it's a great moment to be in this Power BI community bubble at the moment, because there is a lot of good things I feel that are on the horizon that are coming.
Yeah,
hopefully.
absolutely. I can only say I completely agree for sure. And it's the same with all these sort of things you say. If you got to be concerned when people just stop caring, right? That's just when you start getting apathetic about it, then you've lost something.
Mhm.
And I was speaking to someone the other day, and this is just me relaying what someone else said to me. I'm not sure how true it is. They said had seen, or they were concerned that within the Tableau community that stopped being as interactive and it stopped being as interesting. Now I can't speak to that. This is really not my area, but to see the continued passion and I don't know about an array of subjects. It's always quite nice to see, quite nice to be a part of as well. I've got to ask a question now. This is going to completely change the subject because I mentioned it in like pretty much every single one of the tweets that I mentioned.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right, you ready? Crisps, right? So crisps. To clarify, like crisps as in English crisps, not like what do they call in the US? They call them chips, right?
Potato chips or something?
Potato chips, not potato chips, but like well, actually yes, potato chips, but crisps as we call them. What's the crowd crisps? Because I don't get it, mate. You got some
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a one
I love
example
it.
there, right? So crisps, potato chips. It's my vice. It's my addiction. Once I start, I can't stop. And
Okay, fair enough.
it's about I'm addicted to taste. I'm addicted to, so even if you're full and it's like I've had a meal, not necessarily hungry, but I want to experience that taste. I want but it's potatoes in all the forms, whether it's crisps or potato wedges or what they're called. What's the other type of potato? Fries, crisps, hash browns, even better. Yes. It's just that I don't know what it is. Potato, salt, flavors. I can go forever, and it's and even it gets to the point where, like back in the day when you're younger, you'd have like just a normal packet of crisps, like 30 grams, and it's like as an adult, it's like I go through a family pack or like a, what's it called, a kettle, those kettle crisps as well, big packets. But what's your favorite flavor? Oh no, you don't like crisps, do you?
Crisps are pointless. I hate them.
What do you mean? Explain yourself now.
You're just gonna leave. I don't understand the need or the joy of eating a food that can at any moment cut the inside of your mouth and contains a disproportionate amount of salt, so that when you do cut yourself, it absolutely chins.
It's called sweet pain. It's sweet pain. It's like, ooh, that hurts, but I like it. I'm going to do it again.
All right, mate.
For anyone who's just joined the chat, we're still talking about Chris.
Yeah. This is like Connect nights, you know. I don't get it.
No, you what were you going to say? Sorry.
I it's not like I don't like a snack. I love snack food, right? But I prefer like sugary stuff, right? Actually, one of the reasons I stopped drinking was because I got to the point where it was like, look, Ben, you got to choose. You got to choose something that you enjoy that makes you put on weight. Is it alcohol or is it cake? And I was like, I don't care. I'm choosing cake. That's it. You know what I mean?
Wait, when you get to our age, when you're on the cusp of middle age, you do have to make a choice. Am I going to keep boozing or am I going to keep eating? And I chose I'm going to keep eating. I love it.
I fully respect your choice. Don't get me wrong. But crisps are never something that I particularly like enjoyed or just like really even eating them, because when you finished eating them, they're kind of getting your teeth in an annoying way as well. It's just they're the most. There are so many downsides to crisps.
There's an expression in Spanish. So do you know when you eat stuff and you get them caught in your teeth, and then you might find a little bit. There's an expression. It's called "palahuegos," and it means "para luego," for later, and they call them so the bits for later.
That's one of those moments where I react so strongly that I almost respond actually in Italian, the language that I know the least, but I hear Italian spoke with the most passion. So when I really mean something, I go to Italian, which is "che schifo," which is
Yeah.
that's disgusting, which because of the Spanish.
Ma che schifo.
You're right, exactly.
But no, but the thing is with crisps, they come in so many varieties. Like the best flavors now. There is a method of eating crisps. I don't know how other people eat their crisps. Some people just crunch, get straight in. But there's also what I do, and it goes back to my taste addiction, is that I lick the crisp first, get all the flavors off, and then when it's soft, and then I crunch them and eat them. And that's why the ridge cuts are better, because in the ridges they get like concentrated salty bits and tasty bits.
I love it. So you're admitting that there's a design flaw, and you have a workaround, all right?
That's it. Look, Donald, I used to lick Pringles when I was a kid because Pringles are more fragile. So to get the best out of them, you have to lick them first.
I read on a random website that Pringles were designed in that shape based on some kind of scientific formula regarding strength and packaging. I'm not sure how true that is, but apparently the design is this very purposeful design based on some real mathematic thing. I'm not sure that's true, but
because they sit on top of your tongue perfect the way they go in. You just rest when you close your mouth. It's perfect.
I argue that you can. I don't want to do too much on camera. You can stick your tongue out and just put one on your tongue, and then essentially retract it back into your mouth. It's kind of like a conveyor belt. Yeah, I enjoy that about Pringles. Yeah, that is true.
But there is an argument. Pringles apparently are technically not a crisp because they're not made out of potatoes. It's like a prawn cracker kind of thing.
I love me some Lay's stacks. What's a Lay's? Is that also a crisp?
They're like Walkers, Lay's and Walkers. I think it's like a sister brand. Mm-hmm.
Okay, fair enough. So, oh my god, amazing.
But take a stotty. What I was talking about earlier. Take crisps, put crisps in the stotty, and now you've got a crisp sandwich. So you've got texture, taste, and crunch. What more do you need?
Yeah, I'll give you the crisp sandwich. That's actually not bad. The sandwiches I used to have when I was a kid, my dad, apple and banana sandwiches. My dad used to make for us, and they were really good, man.
But wait a minute, you put apple, like slices of apple, slices of banana in a sandwich.
Yeah,
that's weird.
It is weird. You got to try it though. It's so good. It's the only way my dad could get me go to a cricket match, because I used to hate cricket when I was a kid. I used to go to see Durham play, yeah, and I used to hate just an all day without watching cricket. Actually, this will bring me on to a point that Jeff just mentioned before, and I probably can't find the comment anymore. Here it is, actually. One day I want to see a scary face suddenly appear in that skylight behind Ben. This one right there. Who should it be? I tell you, you can't, and you know why? Because you probably can't see it. That skylight there, I can't point it because I'm not. I got a plank of wood, I painted it purple, and I screwed it into the window because I hate the sunlight coming through, because I hate the sunlight so much, right? That I didn't want to even come. I was like, I'm not even going to buy a blind. I want a thick bit of wood over my window. Hence me hating cricket, because in cricket it's summer and you got to stay outside all day and it's too sunny. Yeah.
No, I'm the opposite. I need sun. Like I worship it. But we're from Newcastle. We're desperate. When the sun does come out, like them 2 days of the year, short t-shirt out, lap it up.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Winter's coming. Winter's coming, and
it is. I love me winter, mate. Autumn and winter, they're my times to shine, really, because when I'm outside, I mean, I feel bad for my wife in the summer, especially now because of climate change and stuff, where it's ridiculously hot. I'm just so grumpy all of the summer. I'm like, everything's sweating. How is this fun? And then it's summer, right? So it gets up where it's like 35 degrees and people go on holiday to somewhere even hotter. Like, are you crazy? That's
But
unnecessary.
there's something satisfying about when the sun's cooking you, and your skin starts to cook ever so slightly, and it smells like popcorn.
I think you want to be a potato. You sound like you want to be a baked potato.
If I shave my beard, I look like a peeled potato.
Oh man, amazing! That's terrifying. This is true. This is why Ben prefers pure to Dax, less sweating. True story. True story. I actually don't understand. I spoke to someone once about. I was doing a Power BI training quite a long time ago, and I was saying how much I loved M and Power Query, and they looked at me like I was some kind of psychopath. I was like, "How can you love M?" And I was like, "I don't know. It just makes sense. I'm typing it. It's like I'm typing like a sentence, not code. It's like this, then that, if this, and then it's great. I have to like bother with like the commas and stuff so much. I love it. It's
It's
fantastic.
the closest thing to like natural language coding.
Yeah, yeah, it's fantastic. We went from potatoes and sun and crisps really fast back to Power Query there.
Hold on to your seats.
I don't know how that happened. I know exactly what the fuck is going on here. I'm messing up the rails. Yeah, yeah, it happens sometimes. Oh, it's all going on in the background there, mate. Jesus Christ. Yeah, but what about you would love COBOL? I don't know what that is.
What is COBOL? What is this?
I
Is
don't
this
know
a
what that is.
coding language?
It must be, yeah.
Oh, I
Sounds
tell you what. I
interesting.
tell you what piqued my interest
Yeah.
in going down rabbit hole. So it was, is it Greg Baldini?
Okay. Yeah.
Um, uh, he mentioned, well, someone was talking about where does M code come from. It was like mashup, but M is like the way Vega Light's a sister language of D3. M is a sister language of F sharp, and apparently F sharp. Some people use F sharp as the foundations of their sort of organization, the data organization, and F
Okay.
sharp is like an advanced version of Power Query, and it's supposed to be like sick. It's supposed to be amazing. And then I was trying to find, and there was some articles that were saying like if you get F sharp so niche that it's like it's not really sought after, but it's really it's a rewarding avenue to go down because it's so
That's
unique.
interesting. Oh man. See,
But
the
it's like,
problem with
sorry, you finished.
no, you please go for it.
I was going to say, but my question is, where do we find F sharp to learn it, to use it? I've got no idea. Don't know where to start.
It's the thing about, I guess one thing is learning it, but one in the other is needing to use it. So you're going to learn it unless you have a project or some requirement or somewhere you can like on a website. Oh, I published this. You're just you're never gonna
You're
get
right.
that. It's tough. The one thing I learned about very recently, and maybe I should have already known about this because back to the whole language thing, as in spoken language as well. Apparently, I didn't know this. Azure Cognitive Services has the ability to translate. So basically, you can use Azure Cognitive Services, and it will basically detect languages and then also give the ability to change. So basically, if you have an English data set with lots of
Yeah.
English text, you can feed that. If I'm saying something wrong, by the way, terribly wrong, in the chat, tell me because I'm pretty
Mm.
ignorant about this. You as well, and Imran, of course.
No, that sounds legit. That sounds
It sounds rad, right?
right up my street. Yeah, yeah, I love that kind of stuff.
I would love to try that. And I was just kind of like, wow, because I would be like, if I want to translate something, I'd be like, yeah, okay, so use a API or something. Like, oh no, with this Azure Cognitive Services, you have the ability to basically, it'll just translate stuff for you. It detects a language, and then whatever you pick another language, and it just does it. Like, that's amazing.
But this is where like I might be going off on a tangent here, but like
Do it.
all of that stuff Azure,
Mm.
like SQL, but Azure signups, I'm really interested in that.
Mm.
And this is going to bring me onto a question. We'll kind of segue a little bit, and this
Do it.
is more out of my curiosity.
Mm.
Right, you want to learn something new. You want to learn Azure. I'd love to learn about Azure signups because apparently it's like the framework's kind of like Power Query, and it breaks it down into steps and all that stuff.
Mm.
Or it's based or in the background of Azure, there's Power Query, something like that. I might be wrong, but like when we're trying to learn Deneb, why trying to learn Azure or SQL, where do you personally, because you are inspirational in this sense, and where does anyone who's got a family, where do you find the time to do a full-time job, do blogs, do videos, keep up appearances, and learn something new and get sleep? And like I barely get to work and get back without being absolutely knackered. And then there's like 2 good hours left, have a meal and you're done. And it's like, but in this time, people are finding the extra 2-3 hours to like do more stuff. And it's like, I'm curious and I'm baffled and I'm inspired.
Well, I can make it a really simple for you, mate. You're kind of on that list of stuff. The last one that you said was the sleep part. No,
What is it?
I think for the past 3 weeks I've gone to bed every single day, earliest at 3:30 in the morning. Earliest.
Serious?
Yeah. I mean, I've never been a person who's needed a lot of sleep. I'm lucky though, because I have a really good like setup. I have a very good relationship with my wife. Of course I do, she's my wife. But like in regards like how we split stuff in the morning when the kids get up for school. The last thing I do before I go to bed, I'll prepare like the what's it called? The broad box where you put all the food.
Aye. Well,
The thing when a kid lunchbox, thank you.
Aye.
I put all the food in the lunchbox, and I go to bed 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. The kids get up like 6:30, 7, and then she does all the morning stuff, sends them off to school, and then I'll get up around about 9 o'clock and start my day. So I have like a balance there, but I just don't sleep very much.
Because I wake up like 3 in the morning. I set my alarm for 5, but I wake up at 3, 4 in the morning, and my brain's already thinking. Like before I've even opened my eyes, I'm saying like, oh, how am I going to solve this problem today? And can't switch off. Can't switch off.
I think, but it's one of those things. I mean, you get up really early. I go to basically you get up as I'm going to bed, essentially, right? I'm even before like I used to stay up. So like I'm just useless in the mornings. I mean, when I was a flight attendant, I used to get up like in the morning, like sometimes 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and off to the airport. It was a nightmare because I had to go there and I had to be a nice person and speak and customer service and stuff. And I just wanted to like either be in bed or be dead. I hated it. So it's the same. I'm like, how can you do that every day? How can you get up like 4 o'clock in the morning? It's just.
I resonate. Before I was a data analyst, I did work in a bar in an airport, Newcastle Airport, and I would be on the early shift, so I'd have to start work 2, 3 in the morning. And honestly, you'd be on the bar 3, 4 in the morning. People coming in going, "Oh, I want a pint of Carlsberg." And it's like, oh, we don't serve Carlsberg, serve Carlin or something. And then it'd be like, oh, no, I didn't want this. And it's like, you're going on holiday. It's 3 in the morning. Get off it. The rage from 0 to 100 instantly.
It's ridiculous. People get enraged about the most ridiculous things. Though that reminds me, I remember when I was, I would have been 18 through 20, that age range. I was me and my best mate, and our like friend, like our girlfriends, like there was like we had all this friendship group in the same like girlfriends together. We're piling his car. He wasn't drinking, we were, and we drove. We'd been out in Newcastle, and we drove to Newcastle Airport because we knew the bar was open there. So we wanted to go to the bar at Newcastle Airport just to have one more drink,
Cheeky one.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. This is more like time of the day stuff. David did a funny tweet the other day. 30 days of Dax challenge. Day 30 of Dax challenge. That's my life. I go through. Yeah, it's true. The worst thing is when you want to go to sleep and you're just lying there and your brain's still working.
Every day.
And the worst, it's annoying when it works. It's even more annoying when it works and actually solves the problem. And you're like, oh man, do I have to get up and go back? Because I'm going to forget. There's 0% chance I'm going to remember this tomorrow morning. I hate that.
And sometimes like I refuse to go to bed until I've solved this.
Loads
of times. And some, I think 90% of the times like it ends in success, but then there's a couple of times, and I don't know what it is when you can't solve something in that moment, that feeling of like defeat, it sticks in your chest, but nobody else knows. It's like, this is my personal battle, and I can't really share it with anyone because no one's as like sad as us about solving coding problems.
I'm just embracing nerdiness, mate. There's nothing wrong with being a nerd. It's all good.
Oh no, I love it.
But the thing is about, I mean, I do exactly the same thing. I tweeted about this the other day, that I refuse to go to bed until I solve the problem. But it's ridiculous because it's so counterintuitive, because I can literally feel myself getting so exhausted. I can feel myself getting more stupid. And it's like, no, I need the brain power now. And it's going down. I'm like, no, I must continue.
It's like, I need to brush my teeth. I should really take a shower now. I've been sitting in the same position for 14 hours.
yeah, yeah. Oh no, it's unhealthy. I mean, I like it. I mean, obviously, this is one of the things I say so often about the job that I have and the industry in which we work. I think we're so very lucky, and it also makes, because of our personalities, there must be something that unites us in regards how we like to learn, how we like to discover, you know. But every day we're learning something. Every day we're looking at something. I mean, like, someone mentions like Azure Cognitive Services. Oh, I'm going to read about that. Or you constantly set yourself challenges, so you're always improving. The downside of that is you're not going to sleep,
I
basically.
think that it's a condition. It's called FOMO, the fear of missing out.
Yeah.
And it's a real thing. It's a real thing.
It is true. Or fear of missing out, fear of never solving the solution. But yeah, FOMO is much rolls off the tongue a lot better. Yeah, it's what Chris says as well. Go to sleep, you'll solve it in your sleep. Also,
Do you
also
promise?
possible. Yeah, that would be nice. 1 second. I'll bring this comment up because it's thinking it out there. And I'll just say it. My wife looks at me funny. I'm swearing at Power BI and call myself a dumb person out loud when I realized it was easy to solve. Yeah. This is when you over engineer something in your brain, you're like, oh, I'm going to have to do it this way. Actually, that dinner video that I just did, I was really thinking of a way to do it. And I did it in such an overly complex manner at first. And I was like, what are you doing? Just take it like 10 steps back. And it was like so much easier. Yeah, it's just, but it's important. It's an important part of the process of learning, And this is also why, when it comes to, making videos or understanding or just teaching people new things, I think everyone kind of knows this thing about, I forget who said it, or it's just something that people know, that you to actually understand something properly, or you have to be able to teach it, right?
Yes, that is a proper saying. Yes, yes.
I forget where it comes from, but there is definitely truth in that, There's nothing worse than having to explain something and only knowing that you only half know it, and you're blagging your way through it, and like, no, it's
No,
bad.
but it's even worse when you actually do know how it works. But
Yeah,
when you
okay.
and you can do it with your eyes closed. But then when you do have to try and explain it, it makes no sense. It's like, I don't know how to express this, but just
Yeah,
trust us, followers.
yeah, yeah. It's true. This by Chris Monbrand. I like this for two reasons. See, do teach. It's completely true. I say this quite often. This is ridiculous. Probably the first time I ever heard this was actually on ER. Remember this show ER from like whatever the 90s or the early
Dr.
zeros.
Green.
Yeah, it was. I think, yeah, he said it. Dr. Green said it to Dr. Carter. See one, do one, teach one. Yeah, and it's the first time I ever heard that, and I was like, that's absolutely true. This is basically how it works. It's a great way of, for me, it's a great methodology for kind of learning and kind of and
But
advancing.
that's why what we do, it's cyclical. You're
Mm,
constantly seeing, you're constantly doing, you're constantly teaching, whether it's teaching yourself or teaching someone else. And
mm,
but the learning journey never ends. It's a
yeah,
constant. So we're always fed in that regard. We're always
yeah.
nourished by learning.
Always nourished by learning. I love that.
I'm
You're
here all
so
weekend.
you're so deep, mate. It's fantastic. Um, I'm really enjoying this chat, but I'm gonna have to call it a day, mate. Speaking
No,
of
it's a pleasure. It's been an hour, hasn't it? It's flew by.
it has flown by, and I was thinking, speaking of sailing till 3 o'clock in the morning, I did promise my wife I could go down and watch a film with her at night, rather than just me sitting there. Of course, I've made a video now, so I'm like, okay, I can finish with that for this week and then go on and do other stuff now. But mate, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed the chat. Really enjoyed it.
Likewise, it's been a joy, and thank you everyone for listening. Thank you.
Yeah, mate, everyone, thank you in the chat for all of your questions and the comments as usual. A lot of good fun, and I'll be back next week, and it'll be episode 50. Looking forward to that. You almost made it, mate. You were almost 50. Jeff would say that you were 50 because I did two with him because, as you mentioned before, my
I'll
daughter
take that.
unplugged the
I'll take that.
Wi-Fi. Yeah. You're the backup 50, I'll say. But no, next week's James Dale, so we talk a lot about maps and icon maps, which should be good fun. And cool. Anyway, thank you very much. Have a good evening and goodbye.
See you later. Thank you. Bye bye.